Welcome, curious listeners. This is The Deep Dive, and today we're plunging right into Heartfelt Harmony. We're going to unravel the really extraordinary journey of Nyla and Brody. We've received a fascinating collection of sources from you outlining how their partnership has evolved, especially focusing on this recent, quite transformative period. Our mission today, to understand how their unique collaborative spirit hasn't just, evolved through some profound challenges, but how it's actually created a lasting systemic impact.
Indeed, and we'll be examining how that deep connection, really forged under pressure, has led them to overcome some pretty significant hurdles and truly set the stage for what looks like a really impactful new phase for them. It's more than just a narrative of resilience, though. It's almost a detailed study in how adversity can actually refine a partnership, turning challenges into catalysts for, unprecedented synergy.
Absolutely. And to truly appreciate this evolution, we're going to begin by analyzing a pivotal moment detailed in your sources. It's this powerful resolution from a really critical juncture in their story, which we're identifying as Phase 7. This resolution directly propelled them into the events we'll discuss under the theme Ripple Effects, Bridging the Divide. And from there, we'll see how this sets the foundation for their next strategic shift, which we're calling Breaking Barriers, Unforeseen Alliances.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, so let's start by unpacking that core resolution. Your sources really illustrate Nyla and Brody's journey as, well, a true masterclass in adaptation. Before we delve into the ripple effects from this recent pivotal decision, it's, I think, essential to understand the very foundations of their distinctive approach.
Yeah, and what's truly illuminating is their origin story. It's fascinating. They met at a community seminar, right? Focused on climate change. And you had Nyla with her focus on ecological data, precise scientific methods, and Brody, the legal advocate, really driven by this passion for justice. And apparently they instantly recognized this profound, almost intuitive synergy.
All right.
You just grasped that complex issues like the escalating climate crisis demand more than a single disciplinary lens. It's just too big. Nyla could meticulously establish the verifiable scientific reality, while Brody could champion the legal and policy action needed to actually do something about it.
And it wasn't just talk, was it? Their collaboration wasn't theoretical. It became immediately practical. Their partnership quickly shifted from discussion to direct action, engaging in these hands-on, real-world community projects. Like you mentioned, their initial work designing that innovative gray water recycling system for a local housing complex, or navigating the incredibly intricate legalities to secure crucial water rights for what sounds like a vital community garden. This wasn't abstract stuff. It was immediate, tangible impact right from the start.
Exactly. And this learning by doing was, foundational doesn't even quite cover it. It was everything. Nyla, the rigorous scientist, she quickly realized that even her most perfectly designed scientific solution, maybe, say, a cutting-edge bioremediation technique for contaminated soil, it's basically useless without navigating this labyrinth of local permits or securing land easements.
The practical realities.
Critically, she started integrating Brody's team early in her research design. She adjusted her methodologies to fit regulatory realities, making sure her science wasn't just sound, but actually actionable. And conversely, Brody, the sharp legal mind, he understood that without Nyla's unassailable scientific rigor, accurate data, robust controls, validated methods, even a morally compelling legal case could just swiftly unravel in court. He saw firsthand why precise scientific evidence was the absolute bedrock of their legal victories.
Wow, so that dynamic fostered this level of empathy and strategic alignment that really became their hallmark. They became, in essence, these highly skilled translators for each other's complex worlds, didn't they? Like Nyla translating intricate hydrological models into understandable terms for a city council meeting, while Brody demystified, arcane property law for engineers. This process must have solidified their foundation, requiring them to truly walk in each other's professional shoes, internalizing the daily pressures and the distinct definitions of success each field held. Yeah,
absolutely. But even in those early stages, before their efforts gain significant traction, your sources do indicate moments of significant friction. Classic bureaucratic red tape, sure, we all know that one. But also the more subtle challenges of blending these distinct professional cultures. I mean, you can just imagine the inherent tension. Nile scientists, steeped in empirical verification, might insist on months, maybe even years, of additional data for statistical significance, striving for academic perfection.
Right, total rigor. While Brody's legal team, acutely aware of immediate community suffering or maybe looming grant deadlines, would push for swifter legal action based on the available evidence, prioritizing urgent intervention. And then there's the sheer exasperation you mentioned, like navigating permit applications for that novel water recycling system. Dealing with three separate city departments, each demanding unique, conflicting forms, some requiring physical hand delivery and specific color-coded binders across town. I mean, these are not small hurdles, these are real roadblocks.
No, absolutely not. And this brings up a critical insight for any collaborative endeavor, really. How can these early frictions, these inevitable clashes of perspective, actually build resilience? Because overcoming these very specific, frustrating challenges, like harmonizing those conflicting departmental requirements, didn't just test their patience. It forced them to innovate, to streamline, and to design processes that were simply better for the next time. Each hurdle cleared basically became a blueprint for future success.
And here's a really remarkable turn in their early narrative that your sources highlight. Amidst these foundational struggles, something completely unexpected happened. Their project started getting significant public attention from a short, kind of unpolished video clip. It wasn't some planned PR stunt. It was just authentic, and it just took off.
Yeah, that clip, later famously dubbed Water Warriors, Science Meets Justice, it went viral incredibly quickly. Millions of views. It showed Nyla, totally unscripted, eloquently explaining complex hydrological science using these immediately relatable props, maybe like a simple clear jar showing water turbidity, then a microfilter demo showing how specific contaminants get removed.
Making it visceral, understandable.
Exactly. And alongside her, Brody, equally compelling, outlining these surprising legal strategies they used, maybe displaying an absurdly dense statute book before pointing to some obscure 19th century public trust doctrine they leveraged to challenge corporate water rights.
Wow. That video served as an incredibly powerful beacon of hope, didn't it? Vividly demonstrating the transformative power of combining these seemingly disparate fields in a way the public could instantly grasp. It showed tangible results, not just, lofty ideals. And this unforeseen moment just propelled them onto a much larger stage, solidifying their reputation almost overnight. The flood of emails, media inquiries, even national news coverage must have far exceeded anything they could have anticipated. It really launched them into a whole new phase of their work.
And that leads us directly to a deeply challenging period. Your source's detail.
Yeah.
The data integrity crisis, from what we're calling Phase 7. This was a severe threat. A pivotal scientific report, truly foundational to their entire body of work, was discovered to be missing key data. And this wasn't just an oversight. The implication was a major breach, potentially deliberate sabotage. Their entire project's integrity, and therefore their credibility, just hung precariously in the balance. It was, frankly, the nightmare scenario for any organization built on scientific trust.
Yeah, that raises a crucial question for anyone in a high-stakes field. How do you possibly recover from such a fundamental blow to your core integrity? And while your sources don't spell out every single step of their recovery, the narrative of their continued growth and expanding influence clearly tells us they didn't just weather it, they somehow transformed it. This period became another testament to their unique collaborative strength.
Absolutely, and what's particularly insightful here is how their combined skills became their ultimate shield and sword. It's quite remarkable. Nyla, the scientist, responded with extraordinary rigor and innovation. She initiated this meticulous, multi-tiered data recollection effort, sending teams back to the field, leveraging advanced remote sensing techniques. But even more importantly, she implemented an unassailable, real-time, tamper-proof digital chain of custody protocol. Think blockchain-like tech to log every data point, every transfer, every analysis, ensuring a totally auditable trail.
Wow, really locking it down. Totally. And she brought in multiple independent statisticians for a blind reanalysis of all existing and newly acquired data, cross-referencing with historical records, satellite imagery, everything to corroborate findings. Her objective was crystal clear. Rebuild trust painstakingly, one verified data point at a time. And this highlights a crucial principle for any high-stakes project. Proactive, tamper-proof documentation isn't just about security, it builds an unshakable foundation of trust that can withstand pretty much any attack.
And Brody, meanwhile, wasn't just sitting back. He masterfully navigated the legal labyrinth, right? He immediately deployed legal discovery tools, issuing subpoenas for server logs, internal communications, financial records, systematically pursuing every single lead to uncover the source and the motive of the breach. He wasn't just focused on fixing the data. He was actively building a legal case for misconduct or potentially fraud. Precisely. And if that compromised report had already been submitted to regulatory bodies, Brody would have been straight in there, filing emergency motions in court to have it officially dismissed as unreliable, tainted evidence, essential damage control. But even more strategically, he framed the incident not as a failure on their part, but as a deliberate attack on their vital work. He leveraged the public outrage to advocate for greater transparency and stricter data integrity rules across their entire sector.
Turning defense into offense, almost.
Exactly. The aim wasn't just to fix the immediate problem, but to neutralize the damage, safeguard their overarching mission, and, ironically, enhance public trust by demonstrating their unwavering commitment to truth and accountability. This perfectly demonstrates that principle of leveraging adversity as a catalyst, transforming potential divergence, even sabotage, into a powerful synergy.
That multifaceted response, fixing the science with unparalleled rigor, protecting their mission legally, and advocating for systemic change, didn't just solidify their reputation for resilience. It seems like it amplified it. They didn't merely survive this crisis, they turned it into a profound advantage, potentially setting new precedents for data integrity and environmental advocacy.
And as their reputation soared, predictably, so did the magnitude of the opposition. Your sources reveal they faced a concerted, very well-funded campaign from powerful industry stakeholders who consistently prioritized short-term financial gain over long-term environmental health. This wasn't just haphazard criticism, it was an organized, multi-pronged pushback. It starkly illustrates the entrenched resistance you face when you push for systemic change.
Right. And this opposition came hard. We're talking heavy-duty lobbying campaigns targeting key politicians, pouring vast sums into blocking legislative initiatives Nyla and Brody were championing. That's kind of standard corporate playbook stuff.
Yeah.
But they also hired sophisticated PR firms specifically to launch disinformation campaigns to discredit Nyla's meticulously sound science. How? By funding misleading studies, amplifying fringe scientific voices, sowing doubt online, basically trying to muddy the waters and erode public trust in established facts. It sounds like a sophisticated war of narrative designed to confuse and paralyze.
Absolutely. And then there was the legal front. The direct legal challenges they faced often weren't designed to win on merit, but purely to strategically drain their time, money, and morale. We're talking about SLAPP suits, strategic lawsuits against public participation. For a deeper understanding, just imagine facing multiple, potentially frivolous lawsuits simultaneously, maybe from different entities, all designed with the sole purpose of forcing them to allocate their limited resources and energy to legal defense instead of their vital work. It's a classic war of attrition, aiming for exhaustion rather than an outright victory in court.
That sounds absolutely exhausting, just facing that kind of relentless, coordinated pressure. But a fascinating insight from your sources is that Nyla and Brody didn't simply try to fight fire with fire. They undertook a deeper reevaluation and strategically pivoted, returning to their roots by directly engaging the community.
Exactly. And this was a deliberate, really strategic shift. They recognized they probably couldn't outspend the industry lobbyists or win every PR battle on those terms, so they leveraged their core strength, building power from the ground up. They focused on empowering local communities, mobilizing grassroots support to disrupt the cycle of environmental damage. And this offers a powerful lesson, I think. When confronting deeply entrenched power, sometimes the most potent countermove is to rally the very people most affected, turning them into active allies, partners, and a collective force that the opposition simply cannot easily ignore or discredit. They consciously shifted from a purely top-down policy approach to more of a bottom-up movement-building strategy.
So, how did this return to roots actually manifest on the ground? What did that renewed community engagement look like in practice? Your sources give some great examples. Instead of relying solely on formal reports or dense legal briefs, they pivoted to highly accessible, interactive outreach. For instance, they started hosting these incredibly popular science and justice fairs. You can picture them in local parks or bustling community centers. Nyla's team would set up hands-on exhibits, maybe a working model demonstrating agricultural runoff, or simple intuitive kits, allowing residents to test their own local water quality, literally bringing the lab to the people.
Yeah, brilliant. And at the same time, Brody's legal team would be right there, offering free legal clinics. They'd translate complex environmental regulations into plain language, explaining people's rights regarding pollution or land use, empowering them with actionable knowledge. They ran practical workshops, how to legally document environmental problems, how to form and register a local advocacy group, even how to present evidence effectively in a small claims court. It wasn't just about informing people, it was about mobilizing them.
Creating citizen scientists and advocates.
Precisely. This initiative created hundreds, perhaps thousands of them, building this vast distributed network that not only gathered invaluable local data, but also generated a massive groundswell of public support and direct action. And this became incredibly difficult for industry lobbyists and PR firms to counter effectively. It undermined the opposition's narrative right at its source. This beautifully illustrates that principle of institutionalizing collaboration for greater impact, finding innovative ways to integrate individual strengths into a collective, systemic solution that builds a lasting legacy.
And this successful pivot, this dynamic interplay of grassroots action and strategic advocacy, ushered them into a new phase that your sources describe as building bridges. Their ambitions scaled up, moving from local interventions to tackling grander regional and even state-level challenges, with the explicit aim of creating a replicable model for environmental action.
However, as we often see, scaling up brings its own unique set of headaches, right? The sources highlight the exasperating frictions of amplified operational challenges, particularly bureaucratic red tape, now spread across multiple jurisdictions. The sheer inertia of large systems can be just as draining as active opposition sometimes.
Although the bureaucracy metastasizes. It's easy to imagine a crucial clean energy project delayed for over a year simply because two different federal agencies couldn't agree on who held ultimate oversight, or trying to secure permits for a project that spans multiple counties, maybe even state lines, forcing them to juggle state agencies, federal grants, countless local zoning boards, each with its own idiosyncratic rules, forms, and timelines. It sounds like a coordination nightmare. This kind of systemic friction, the sheer administrative drag of large systems, can indeed be just as exhausting as direct, active opposition.
For sure. And it wasn't just external hurdles. Scaling up inevitably led to increased internal frictions, two differing opinions within their own rapidly growing teams. Your sources explicitly detail these internal clashes. Consider a scenario. NILA's lead scientists might insist on, say, another 2 years of data collection for academic rigor on a massive ecosystem restoration project, demanding absolute statistical certainty. Meanwhile, Brody's senior legal team, observing ongoing environmental degradation and community health impacts, might vehemently push for an immediate legal injunction based on preliminary findings, even if those findings haven't undergone full peer review yet. That's the classic inherent tension between scientific thoroughness and the urgency of legal action.
That's fascinating. And those tensions probably extend to how they present their work, right? Debates might erupt over how to present complex scientific findings in a courtroom. Do you simplify them for a jury and risk losing crucial nuance, or maintain absolute scientific precision and risk being incomprehensible to non-experts? These inherent tensions seem almost unavoidable when you're merging such distinct fields at scale.
Yes, but this leads us to another key insight for you, our listener. These tensions, when managed effectively, didn't actually weaken the team. They made it stronger. They compelled constant debate, forcing rigorous justification and deeper communication, ultimately leading to more robust, more thoughtfully crafted solutions. Their determination to bridge that disciplinary gap only strengthened because these challenges forced them to adapt, to truly communicate beyond jargon, and to explain their reasoning and constraints to each other and their now much larger teams. This process built profound empathy, fostering a genuine understanding of the immense pressures each side was under.
Right. And crucially, this led to truly innovative solutions. They weren't just watering down the science or weakening the legal case. They were finding that incredibly elusive sweet spot where uncompromising scientific accuracy meets formidable legal muscle. That resilience, that profound commitment forged through navigating labyrinthine bureaucracy and resolving those tough internal debates is precisely what led to groundbreaking, innovative breakthroughs.
Exactly. And your sources emphasize that these breakthroughs weren't just incremental improvements. They were truly novel ways of thinking and operating. Perhaps NILA's team developed an entirely new holistic methodology to assess cumulative environmental impacts across an entire bioregion, integrating disparate datasets that were previously considered incompatible. Simultaneously, Brody's team might craft an innovative legal framework, maybe a new tort law or a clever reinterpretation of an existing environmental statute, to make that newly quantified complex scientific data not just admissible, but powerfully actionable in court, potentially setting precedents for how ecosystem services are legally valued. This is where their unique empathy and strategic alignment really shines brightest.
And these kinds of breakthroughs, well, they don't go unnoticed, do they? They naturally attract significant attention from influential local leaders, state policymakers, maybe even national figures. This attention, in turn, often leads to wider adoption of their methods, tangible policy changes, and greater resource allocation. It directly propels their mission from localized project work towards being a replicable model for profound systemic change. Now, all these accumulated challenges, all this growth and success, culminated in arguably their greatest test yet. Their very success opened up these incredible individual career opportunities for both Nyla and Brody. This wasn't a punishment or a setback. It was a direct, profound consequence of the immense impact they were having.
Right. And this raises a truly compelling question for anyone in a collaborative endeavor. Could their partnership, the very engine of their success, actually withstand the powerful gravitational pull of individual ambition? Your sources highlight that Nyla was offered a groundbreaking research initiative, basically the scientific dream job with global platforms. Imagine the pinnacle. Immense resources, state-of-the-art labs, the chance to dive into pure scientific inquiry on a global scale, leading a massive team, truly pushing the boundaries of her field, and leaving an individual scientific legacy without the daily grind of legal battles. A deeply enticing offer for any dedicated scientist.
Wow. And concurrently, Brody was offered a parallel pinnacle, a highly prestigious position at a prominent national law firm. This came with unparalleled influence and resources, far beyond anything he currently commanded. Imagine a team of top legal minds, substantial financial backing, and the power to reshape environmental law on a national scale, perhaps arguing landmark cases before the Supreme Court, influencing federal precedents.
Indeed. It was a chance for him to truly become a legal heavyweight, cementing his own individual legacy as a legal innovator. So both were presented with these potentially life-altering opportunities, but the implicit catch was monumental. These offers forced Nyla and Brody to confront the stark reality that their individual professional paths might be diverging. Their highest personal aspirations, their individual dreams of professional fulfillment, suddenly appeared to pull them in entirely different directions.
Yeah, this was profoundly different from facing an external enemy or an internal team squabble. This was about them, about their core identity, putting their shared foundation to the ultimate test. Your sources emphasize this as the most significant challenge their partnership had ever encountered. Because, consider how meticulously that partnership was built. Through a deep shared purpose, an evolving empathy, and a long history of overcoming obstacles together. Their entire operational identity revolved around bridging that chasm between science and law. Their combined approach was, in essence, their mission.
And here's the core conflict. Their own personal aspirations, their individual ambitions, were now putting that shared foundation, that synergy, to the absolute ultimate test. Could that profound bond, forged through so many collective challenges, actually withstand the powerful pull of individual success, of realizing their own personal peak potential? And what would happen to the collaboration itself, the very engine of their effectiveness, if they chose separate paths? The unique synergy they had so painstakingly built the thing that made them unique and profoundly successful that was unequivocally on the line.
It really forced them to confront a classic dilemma that, many of us face in different ways. What truly matters more? Individual achievement, however extraordinary, or the exponential power of their combined effort? It's a painful tension, personal fulfillment versus collective impact. When the us becomes so successful that the world starts calling out to the you individually, how do you navigate that without losing the very essence of what made you strong together?
It's profound. But what's truly remarkable here, and what your sources clearly highlight, is their ultimate resolution. Instead of pursuing those alluring individual offers, they jointly launched a comprehensive policy initiative, one designed to explicitly combine and institutionalize their work. They essentially codified sustainable practices into law, creating a systemic framework based on their unique collaborative approach.
Wow, that's a groundbreaking move. You can almost imagine something like a National Environmental Systems Act mandating specific scientific standards for development projects and embedding clear, legally actionable pathways for enforcement based directly on that rigorous science. It's designed to outlive them, isn't it?
Yeah.
To build a lasting legacy. So they found a way to deeply integrate their individual goals and professional aspirations back into their shared mission, not only maintaining but actually amplifying that powerful synergy. It wasn't about choosing one path over the other. It was a profound synthesis, creating something exponentially greater.
Exactly. Their greatest legacy, they realized, wasn't going to be individual fame or isolated achievement, but the enduring, replicable impact of their unity. They recognized that their partnership had not only transformed their own careers, but had profoundly impacted the wider community and the landscape of environmental advocacy, underscoring the enduring value and success of their unique collaboration. They understood that by staying unified and institutionalizing their approach, they could construct a resilient framework for the future, a system that transcended personal achievement. And this powerful resolution directly sets the stage for what your sources describe as the ripple effects in the next phase of their journey.
Right. And this brings us to that profound question posed at the conclusion of that phase, a question that we believe really resonates with you, our curious listener. Thinking about your own world or fields you follow, where do you see the tension between individual ambition and a shared purpose? More importantly, how can that tension be harnessed to create something even bigger and more systemic?
Yeah, it's a great question. And drawing on Nyla and Brody's exceptional journey, their story offers some powerful, really actionable insights into how this tension can be leveraged. Through four key elements. First, recognition of shared vision. This means consistently reaffirming that foundational common ground they established way back in their earliest days, that deep-seated conviction for positive change that transcended their individual professional roles. It's about regularly returning to the why that united them in the first place.
Keeping that North Star visible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, empathy and strategic alignment. This involves truly understanding each other's professional pressures, limitations, unique perspectives, and then strategically adjusting approaches accordingly. Think of how Nyla learned to tailor her scientific outputs to meet regulatory realities, and how Brody came to understand the absolute necessity of scientific rigor in building an unassailable legal case. It's about walking in each other's professional shoes, not just intellectually, but, empathetically.
Truly getting it.
Third, institutionalizing collaboration for greater impact. As exemplified by their comprehensive new policy initiative, this means actively finding innovative ways to integrate individual strengths into a collective systemic solution that builds a lasting legacy. They didn't just work together on projects, they built a system that codified and perpetuated their collaborative model, ensuring its impact would endure long beyond any single case or person.
Making it bigger than themselves.
Precisely. And fourth, leveraging adversity as a catalyst. This is about transforming potential divergence, even outright sabotage or intense coordinated opposition, into a powerful synergy, rather than letting it fracture the partnership. Remember how they turned the data crisis into an opportunity for greater legal transparency, or how aggressive industry opposition actually drove them to pivot back to a more potent, grassroots-driven movement. Adversity became the forge for deeper unity and innovation for them.
So, if we synthesize all of this, what does it truly mean? In essence, the tension between individual ambition and a shared overarching purpose isn't necessarily something to be avoided or feared. It can actually be strategically transformed by fostering deep empathy, continuously reaffirming that foundational shared vision, and finding innovative ways to integrate individual strengths into a collective, systemic solution. This approach transforms potential divergence into an incredibly powerful synergy. It builds a lasting legacy that far exceeds what either individual could ever achieve alone. Their continued unity and groundbreaking policy work don't just extend their influence and impact, they create ripples that are just beginning to spread through the entire field. It's not just about surviving these challenges, it's about evolving and strengthening through them.
Well said. And this established legal framework, forged in the crucible of their previous challenges, and that monumental decision in the ripple effects breaking the divide phase, it naturally leads us directly into what your sources outline as their next strategic shift. Breaking barriers, unforeseen alliances. In this phase, Nyla and Brody are poised to face new, arguably even more complex challenges, expanding their influence and their model of collaboration even further.
Right. Having successfully established a systemic, replicable model, your sources indicate they are now confronting even more entrenched systems and formidable resistance. They're working to apply their new policy framework and push for its broader, maybe even national adoption. This signifies a whole new level of opposition, likely from deeply rooted, established powers or groups inherently resistant to widespread change. It really highlights the intricate complexities of enacting new policies in a world often deeply set in its ways. It's no longer just about their specific successful projects. It's about systemic, widespread transformation, which, by its very nature, meets profound institutional resistance.
Exactly. And to overcome these deeply embedded barriers, your sources suggest they will need to devise exceptionally innovative ways to break down old obstacles. Their characteristic persistence and creative problem-solving approach will be absolutely crucial in opening doors for progress. This implies that their unique blend of, granular scientific insight and agile legal strategy will be indispensable in devising entirely new approaches to bypass, dismantle, or maybe even re-engineer existing challenges. They can't merely push harder. They have to push smarter, identifying and exploiting the weak points within these entrenched systems.
And here's a truly fascinating development detailed in your sources for this upcoming phase. A key element is their remarkable ability to attract profoundly influential allies. We're talking prominent environmentalists, leading legal experts, maybe even high-profile public figures who can genuinely expand their reach and amplify their message. This signifies a crucial expansion of their network, moving far beyond their core team and initial local leaders to incorporate figures who can elevate their message and efforts onto a much larger, perhaps even global stage. It sounds like it's about building a broad, impactful movement, not just expanding a successful organization.
Precisely. And this phase, as described in your sources, will specifically explore the intricate dynamics of forming these unexpected alliances, profoundly emphasizing the importance of collaboration across incredibly diverse fields on an even larger, more impactful scale. And this raises a compelling question for us to consider, and for you as well. What are the unique challenges, but also the profound benefits of bringing together individuals and groups who may not typically work in concert, maybe people from different political leanings or entirely different professional sectors, but whose combined, often disparate expertise becomes invaluable for achieving a common transformative goal? It's about merging different perspectives, different resources, and vastly different spheres of influence.
Absolutely. And what does this all signify for their ongoing legacy? As they unite with these new, powerful partners, their influence on sustainable practices and policy grows, well, exponentially. This clearly highlights the compounding effect of their expanded collaborative network, allowing them to achieve far greater reach and influence than they ever could have previously imagined. Their story continues to showcase their incredible evolution, from local advocates to broader, national, and perhaps even international influencers, constantly adapting and strategically expanding their collaborative network to address increasingly complex systemic issues.
It's quite a trajectory.
What a truly incredible arc Nyla journey presents. I mean, from navigating a near catastrophic data crisis to facing down powerful industry giants, from resolving internal team frictions to confronting that ultimate personal test of individual ambition versus shared purpose, they didn't just survive, they consistently thrived, emerging stronger and more impactful each time.
Yeah, they meticulously forged this profound bond, continually redefining what's truly possible when rigorous science and incisive law genuinely work in concert, hand in glove. Their story vividly demonstrates that individual drive, far from being some selfish pursuit, can actually fuel and elevate a greater collective goal, creating a legacy that is clearly designed to echo and resonate far beyond their own work. They really became a living testament that collaboration, built on a bedrock of shared purpose and profound empathy, can achieve exponentially more than even the most brilliant individual ambition, especially when faced with those tempting, diverging alternatives.
It really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? About how that kind of deep, purposeful collaboration, built on a foundation of empathy and a clear shared vision, can not only overcome immense obstacles, but also create a lasting framework for systemic change. A replicable model that extends far beyond the efforts of any single person or organization.
Absolutely. So for you, our curious listener, here's a riddle to ponder that speaks directly to the heart of what we've discussed today. It sort of embodies the very essence of Nyla and Brody's journey. What can grow without roots, can be shared without being divided, and can change the world when combined.
Ooh, that's a good one. Something to definitely mull over until our next deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us as we explored this intricate tapestry of Nyla and Brody's path towards bridging divides and now breaking barriers.